I really wanted to like this phone. It was cool, it was quirky, it slammed shut just like this. But after just 2 weeks with this, I had to switch back to a smartphone. Here's why. So if you missed my previous video on this, I switched to a flip phone for an indefinite period of time. I wanted to see how long I could go with this device. And surprisingly, I didn't miss any of the smartphone features I thought I would miss. I guess it's because I conditioned myself to not want them, and so once I actually got this, I didn't really care. The maps function worked okay. There was only really one time that I had to use it for navigation. There's probably just one time where I was lost, and I didn't really need turn-by-turn navigation as long as I could pull up a map of the city. I sort of figured out where to go from there. It had a podcast app which was surprisingly functional and was a good companion during my work commutes. One annoying thing is that you can't really do anything else while you're on this app. Once you exit it, it actually stops the audio, but I didn't really mind. It had a QR code reader and it worked, sorta. I think because this camera is such poor quality, it needs perfect lighting to actually work. This was a bit of a pain when checking into a restaurant for dinner or a poorly lit area. As you can see here, when it's quite bright, it actually works, although you do need to really put the QR code in the center. It was just difficult when using it in dimly lit areas. But I don't really go out that much, and so I didn't really run into any trouble here. I didn't really use this phone for social media either. I wasn't expecting to be able to do so. And even if this had a Twitter app or a Facebook app, I wasn't even going into those apps. I didn't really care. The main reason though why I switched back to a smartphone is that this phone is not good at being a phone. And what I mean by that is to actually make calls and texts on this thing is pretty darn painful. What I'm showing you now is what it looks like if I were to try and send an SMS to someone I haven't spoken to yet. The contact search is just so painfully slow. Just see how I'm trying to type just mum here and how much it sort of like keeps wigging out, keeps refreshing. I think it takes me around 30 seconds in real time to actually find a contact. And because of my line of work where I need to be able to get to people quite urgently, this just wasn't working out for me. Another annoyance which I can't really show you because it sort of happens randomly is that the notifications don't work well on this device. I've missed countless WhatsApps and SMSs where it just didn't show up in the notification screen. For some reason, it only shows up when I actually open the app itself, and then I see, oh shoot, I've missed this message from 2 hours ago. And for me, that was just a bit of a risk, because what if someone urgently needed me for work purposes, or what if there was an emergency? I wouldn't have actually been able to get to it right away. And this phone is just quite sluggish. I think it's one thing to not have smartphone features, I was fine with that, but to even just operate this normally, just to navigate through the menus and things like that, it's really, really slow. And maybe this is more a criticism of KaiOS than this specific Nokia phone, but I wasn't too happy with just how sluggish this was. I'm actually trying to remember if my phones from 15 years ago were this slow. Like, I was thinking maybe it would have been better to just find an old phone, an old flagship phone from 15 years ago and just use that. I know there's a pretty active KaiOS community called Banana Hackers, and I think they let you customize your phone a lot more and really remove a lot of the bloatware. I could potentially improve the performance using that, but for me, I just wanted something that was a smooth out-of-the-box experience, and I'm just surprised at how sluggish this is, considering that it comes from what you would think is a pretty reputable brand, Nokia. I understand this is not an in-depth review, it's not meant to be. There's a lot of other channels in there that do in-depth reviews of this smartphone, so I suggest you go check them out if you want like a full-on review. This was just my review of what it was like for me to use it as a daily driver for my purposes, which was try to reduce my overall screen time and try to consume more content intentionally. Have you had a similar experience with the Nokia 2720? I'm actually surprised because most of the reviews I've seen in YouTube are super positive about it, and I haven't really seen people complain about the sluggishness of it. So I want to hear from you if this is something that you experienced as well using this. So why did I switch back from this phone to a smartphone? Just going back to why I actually wanted to try a flip phone, I wanted to be able to free myself of the smartphone addiction that's plaguing a lot of people these days. and just be able to consume more content intentionally. And for me, that meant quitting my smartphone cold turkey. I don't think smartphones are the devil. Smartphones definitely add a lot of value to our lives. And for many things, having a smartphone is awesome. It has a good camera. It has live turn-by-turn navigation, so you'll never really feel lost. My credit card's in it, my ID, my driver license is in it. I could read books on it. And doesn't that sort of fit the concept of minimalism anyway, which is trying to eliminate the number of physical things that you own to be able to achieve a function? And a smartphone does that because I find that I actually don't need to bring a wallet with me anymore when I go out of the house. It's just pretty cool to have mostly empty pockets and not having all that bulk on you. For me, using this flip phone, there was just a significant loss of efficiency in a lot of the things that smartphones really help with. And I found myself needing to actually carry with me a tablet. If I had actually gone longer with this, I might have needed to buy a GPS as well. And I found that it was actually just slowing me down in a lot of ways. Now, if I just went back to my previous smartphone setup, all of those bad habits would just come back and we're just gonna go back to square one. So I really tried to make sure that if I were to go back to my smartphone, I would do things differently. And this is my smartphone setup now. This is with my iPhone 8 Plus, which I'm using to film this video. That's why you can't see it. The key difference I'm making is that I've deleted all of my social media. No more Facebook, no more Twitter, no more Instagram. I've just kept the messaging versions of them. So I have Facebook Messenger. I've told everyone I message on Instagram to stop messaging me on Instagram. So hopefully I won't miss anything there. And I just tried to put everything I really needed just on one home screen page. So it's pretty clean by my standards. One thing I'm also trying to do is when I'm not using my phone to watch videos or movies, I just switch to grayscale mode. And I find that this actually is quite effective at discouraging a lot of phone use. And so far so good. I haven't really felt deprived at all while using my smartphone, but I also don't feel the need to endlessly scroll through social media. So I think it works. I guess the question is, did I achieve what I actually wanted to achieve by switching to a flip phone, even if it was just for 2 weeks? And I think yes. In my last video, I said that I wanted to be able to consume the content that I wanted to consume without being distracted by constant notifications or just random thoughts in my head that would prevent me from actually finish what I wanted to finish. In the 2 weeks that I didn't have my smartphone on me, I finished my first playthrough of Hades. It's an awesome video game. I really recommend it. I finished reading a book that I've always wanted to finish. I think it was like on my reading list for 2 years. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Blank. I know this is not heavy reading at all, but I was really struggling to finish this for some reason just because I got so distracted every time. And I finished season 1 of this show called Snowpiercer on Netflix, which is based off of a 2013 movie. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's like the greatest TV show I've ever watched, but I just like actually being able to watch something again without being distracted by my phone. And I think best of all, I've just lost all desire to look at social media or keep up to date with things. I don't miss scrolling through Facebook. I don't miss scrolling through Instagram. I don't miss being served TikToks. And I think that was really the biggest success here because even though I'm back on my smartphone, I just don't feel that itch anymore, which is amazing because it really frees up my mind and my time to do things that I really want to do. Honestly, I might have stuck around with this if it had better call and text functionalities. But also, it kind of defeats the purpose if I go out and purchase another one. I'm not just gonna waste my money like that just for the sake of an experiment. I think because of this, because I went cold turkey, I was able to really take a lot of my time back that I was wasting on social media and scrolling. And so I deem this experiment to be a success, really. So that is my experience with the Nokia 2720 and how I have gotten over my social media addiction for now. I hope it'll continue to stay that way. At least I'm now a bit more self-aware in terms of the content and media that I consume. One thing I'll really miss though is the fidgeting. I think this is like a built-in fidget spinner. And yeah, you've seen me sort of play around with this throughout the video. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like. Let me know down in the comments below if you want to hear about any other aspects of my minimalism journey. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now!